Okay, so I wanted to come on camera and basically, I don't know if this is going to be a vlog or a spiritual reading. It is Sunday, so, but it's pretty early in the morning. I woke up, like kind of, I don't know what time it was, if it was like 4:30 or something. I realized that I'm starting to wake up a lot earlier than I usually tend to. I'm very much a night owl, so the fact that I woke up early is, or I'm waking up early is, I don't know if it's a good thing or, but I am in my bedroom, and I did do my first video about talking about sex and whatnot. I will say that it's funny because I just did a video yesterday about, I did two videos. I talked about sex, and then I talked about, which I'm going to fix my hair for a second because it looks kind of, and then I talked about ghosting, benching, breadcrumbing, baiting, zombieing, all this stuff. And it's funny because I actually, so I'm presently trying to date, even though I'm contemplating how I'm going to go about that because I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm like, some days it's like once you get into it and you're like, you see you say slim pickings, you see the people that pop up on your apps and stuff, and you're like, man, you're like, this is just, it's hard. And you don't want to like lose faith. And granted, it would be nice to meet someone organically in person, but at this point in my life, I literally go back and forth and say, do I want to have a relationship with somebody, or do I just want to keep it casual, or do I want to have it casual and have it turn into a relationship? I know people would probably beg to defer in that respect and think like, you know, a true relationship can't come out of sex or like, you know, friends with benefits kind of thing. But I think like, I don't know, if we'd all be lying to ourselves if we said that we didn't want to have good sex. Like, just that's just me, especially being someone who became sexually active later on in life. It's like you kind of learn what you really do desire, what you want. I learned that I'm someone who really prides herself on physical touch. So but it's funny because my love language is like acts of service, is like giving gifts and stuff. So I don't like to receive gifts, but I like giving gifts, which I find interesting. But I also like physical touch. Words of affirmation I don't really need from people because I'm like, I know that I value myself. I can do positive affirmations myself. So but I wanted to come on, I wanted to vlog about it because because I just literally talked about ghosting, benching, whatever, yesterday. And I'd said in the video, I was like, if they ghosted you and if it's dead, let them stay dead. And I go, second chances are for certain circumstances, right? And you have to kind of weigh in on it, um, you know. And I think because of the book that I have here that I read, I haven't read it. Excuse me, I haven't finished it. But so far it's a really good book, talking about boundaries and stuff. And the lady who wrote it, she was explaining how to handle ghosting, and she said, send a precise text message or email mentioning the behavior you're noticing. People are likely to respond because they don't want to seem upset when they are. Express how the ghosting is making you feel and the concerns you have about the relationship. If receiving a response takes a few days, be clear to restate how the ghosting makes you feel. If you don't receive a response, remind yourself that their reaction was not about you, it was about their interpretation of the situation. And then silent treatment is the same thing. So I wasn't planning on writing this person back at all. Like, I was going to just let it be and block them. And I said, you know what? Because I was, originally when I had cut things off with this person, I sensed that he wasn't being honest with me about his identity. And I've encountered that a lot. I don't know if other people encounter that, where they get catfished on the internet. So maybe this will be like a catfishing imposter, how to deal with that kind of thing online. But I don't know. We'll see. It depends. I don't know what, it might just be improvising and speaking about it. But I've noticed lately that a lot of the men that I match with online, either they use the apps because they're like married or have a girlfriend and they want to explore other options, and they pretend to be someone that they're not. And me being someone, I am intuitive. I do use, like, I have a deck of cards. I guess you say oracle card reader, whatnot. The spiritual inheritance aspect of it kind of came about maybe with, like, it got stronger within like the last year, I would say. And I literally tell the guys sometimes, like, if I reject them or if I delete them, and like this is after I've had a conversation with them, and I tell them, I tell them, you know, I am a card reader. I don't know how they take it, but I know, because it sounds, who's going to tell you, like, that's like if a guy told me, oh, by the way, I'm psychic, and I pull cards on you, and it says that you're this is, I'm very authentic, and I'm genuine, I don't lie to people, so, I don't know what they'd be able to find about me, because it's all pretty straightforward, so, but, yeah, so, I, but I recently, because of this person, I did have an affinity towards them, I did like them, he was, the person that I'm talking about, he was attractive, and it's one thing, oh, this, you know what, this would be a good topic, love versus lust. I think this would be a good conversation, like good topic to talk about, to not get confused, like, with love and lust, because what happens is that your body, your hormones will confuse attraction and intimacy for something more when it's really just that. And I think as a society, we need to be honest with ourselves. And me, like, for instance, like, ideally, yes, I would like to be in a relationship with someone one day. That would be nice. I really haven't had one, really, to be honest. I look back and I really haven't had one, which is okay. That's just the way my life turned out. So I'm at the point where I just, you know, I try to expect authenticity and integrity, but it's difficult because, like I said, I think a lot of these men come online and they're married or they have girlfriends and they lie about being polyamorous. God forbid someone actually, like, I came across somebody for the first time and it said, his profile said, I have a, literally his bio was, I have a girlfriend, I'm polyamorous, ethically non-monogamous, she's Chinese, she's getting a master's. And he was in, like, military uniform, and I'm like, part of me is like, at least he's honest, you know, like, but for me, I don't fancy, I don't think, because to me, if you're going to give your love to what, to me, I don't know, that's just my opinion. Other people might say, oh, but you haven't tried polyamory, so you can't knock it, and maybe you'll be happier, but it's like, and it's also the idea of one, maybe you're not meant to be with one person, you can have multiple soulmates, but to me, in that respect, I don't know, I feel like having that one steady relationship, and then branching off and having other ones, I don't know, that just seems, and an ethical non-monogamy, right, that basically means that you're being honest and open about having other partners. I don't know, maybe it works for some people. You know, there was a show called, what was it, The Three Women? I forgot, it was with Shailene Woodley. She was a journalist reporting on sex in America, and she was highlighting about different relationship dynamics, and one of them was actually, the couple was married, but they had an open relationship, and the wife wanted to have sex with other people, and the husband would be there, and maybe the husband would watch sometimes. This is where it gets really weird. Like, the husband would watch, and she would actually have sex with him. The husband would be in the side, and then the husband came over when she was having sex with the guy, and he would like whisper in the ear, like, oh, she likes it when you do this, and I'm like, maybe because I was raised and I was socialized to basically live in a world where monogamy, like having one partner, that was that. But then you wonder, you think about it, and you think about it, when you think about infidelity, it's interesting because people get married, right? They have the big fanfare, the wedding, the beach wedding, they could do the church thing, and then down the line, someone loses interest, or the spark wanes because you have children, and your sex life goes wah, right? Because it's the same person day in and day out, and then someone starts to veer off and go, they're unhappy. So that's why I say, like, I know there's the happy wife, happy life, but to me, I think of it as like, I don't know, like, men are also very physically, like, they're more interested in the physical aspect sometimes of a connection versus the emotional, unless you're like me and you're like, I have my sex drive. This is why I'm saying this is a not safe for work series, because I go into topics that are, like, you know, different. So, so it's just interesting, you know, like, I feel like women, if you are in a heterosexual relationship, you want to be able to pleasure a man and make him happy, because that's how God made us. And, you know, when a man's physically aroused, things go up, not down. So it's like, you want to keep that. And I think if you lose a spark in a relationship, I think that's where infidelity and cheating comes in. But you look at it and you say, well, if people are given opportunity, if they have an open discussion and they say, yeah, I will let you go be with XYZ person, you wonder if they did a study and they tested people who are in polyamorous relationships, if they tested people's happiness or satisfaction scores versus people who are in monogamous relationships and they're unhappy, you really wonder if people would be happier in an open relationship versus a closed, like, monogamous relationship. Like, you wonder if the marriage is happier, if the hardships are less, because, you know, I don't know, they let it be open. I don't know. That would be an interesting study, because I had my bachelor's in sociology. I studied psychology for my master's, and I think human behavior is so interesting, and there are trends, right? Like for instance, like in the 1920s, 1930s, a good depiction of this is the movie Chicago, where if you were a floozy, meaning like if you were a whore or you're promiscuous and hypersexual, you were looked at as a slut, right? You were, even back then, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, people that, like the movie Grease, what's her name? Rizzo. Rizzo was the school whore. Sandy was the classic virginal, modest girl, right? And there's a song she sings, there are worse things I can do than go with a boy or two, even though the neighborhood thinks I'm trashy and no good. Literally, this neighborhood probably, well, I'm not going to get too much into that, because I literally went from being really modest and, like, virginal to basically being, like, I did my own exposure therapy with sex, and I decided to, like, make it casual, and I go, these people, and I'm in a really small town, so they know I don't have a car. They probably see the people, and unfortunately, because of that, everybody talks, and I'm sure that they know, like, if they see a different car coming. And it's like, but my thing is, they don't know my story, they don't know what I've been through. They don't know that at 32 is when I basically decided to be whatever, and they probably would say, oh, but that doesn't give you right to, like, sleep with X amount of people within a year. And it's like, but that's my journey. And plus, I was really scared of sex, and I was scared of how I was going to be at it. And so, I feel kind of sexually liberated, if you will, because I put those burdens and limitations on myself because I felt like I was being a sinner or bad if I had sexual urges or feelings or wanted to experience pleasure. So I don't feel so shameful anymore. And plus, these people don't know me. They're not going to be, when I pass away, they're not going to be on my deathbed. So I really don't care what they think anymore. And people who gossip and they engage in toxicity and stuff like that, I don't have time for it. So at this point, I'm like, I'm going to do what I want. And if someone wants to frame me as being a whore or a slut, I'm not going to, I'm very candid and honest and open. And I've led a journey where I literally went from being very virginal and modest to embracing lingerie. I was subscribed to a lingerie service. It was called Adore Me. I heard about it, I think it was on Instagram or Facebook, and basically they send you really, I could show my, like, I don't know, again, not safe for work series, but I literally have a drawer of, like, lingerie, and it's funny because being someone who I was the kind of person, I was so afraid to go into like when I was, so there's a mall called Daylon Mall in Miami, Florida, and it was like my childhood mall. I went there like Christmases, like Christmas shopping, Halloween shopping. There was another mall, like an outdoor mall right next door that I forgot what it was called, if it was a certain name, like a plaza or whatever. But it had Target, Sports Authority, Michael's Arts and Crafts Store, Best Buy, salons or whatever. So I used to go there like all the time. But anyways, my point is, I would be so ashamed to go, like, I would not, like, when they had, so when Adriana Lima, Giselle Bundchen, Candice Swanderpool, all these models, right, were Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, whatever, they were like, their pictures were like all up on the wall, right? And it's amazing, and their breasts were out, and I grabbed my boobs, I'm sorry, but like their boobs, their breasts were out, and amazing figures, whatever. I would be so embarrassed to like even look in the direction of those things, because I would feel sinful, and I don't know if that's my, like, a religious upbringing thing or whatever, but that was just me. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, I'm 33, sex is not a sin. And I want to say that to people, because if you're like me, where you felt shameful and sinful, and you lead a very, it's interesting because I had a very love-hate relationship with sex, because I wanted to experience pleasure, but I also wanted to lead a virtuous life. And in Catholic religion, Christianity, and all that, masturbation, homosexuality, premarital sex, that's all frowned down upon, which is funny because in that group of people, they're all having sex, they're all doing all, kinky stuff. So it's like, even in like middle school, so it's like in high school. So I feel like sometimes that's hypocritical. And you hear about like the Catholic churches, like with the priests and stuff who are engaged in like pedophilia and whatnot. It's crazy. So it's like, I'd rather people be like, not super hypersexual, but just be more like, it's normal. Like, that's where babies come from, and it's pleasurable. A man and a woman do it, whether it's a man and a man. People might disagree with me in that respect when I say that. I think love is love. That's just my opinion. I do believe there's two genders, male, female. I take it back. Biological sex, male, female. But gender-wise, I think there's a spectrum of that, because some people may not. There may be a man who identifies as a woman, right? Who's transgender. There may be a woman who feels better as a man. I'm not going to judge people for that. They can say it's gender dysphoria, they can say they have a mental health issue, but if that person doesn't feel happy and whole in their biological sex, that's for them. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that. That would be a whole nother video. But I initially came on here to talk about basically, I reached out to someone and like, because he had reached out to me. So talking about ghosting, this is someone who, I guess you can call it zombieing. They came back from the dead, and because I had thought he was a catfish or lying to me or being an imposter or whatnot. So I have phlegm, excuse me. I let it be, and then it kind of just came back out of nowhere, and I decided to ask him, because he asked me, how's your life going, whatever, and then I basically told him, this and this and this, are you still living in so-and-so area? A day went by, it was 8 p.m. last night, and I go, this is rude. I was like, when you think about it, and this is, again, I guess I'm talking about ghosting again, so maybe this will be a part 2 to that, and how to deal with that. Initially I was, and it was 8 p.m., I go, okay, a day, 24 hours went by, this guy's not writing me, and I go, maybe he's mad at me, whatever, maybe he's stonewalling, maybe ghosting, it's a passive-aggressive thing, or he's getting back at me for me calling him a catfish, whatever. So I decided, and I told myself, you know what, the lady in the social workbook, I'm going to call it the social workbook, she said, explain how you feel, send a message, say that this is not behavior that I'm going to tolerate, and set your boundaries. And so usually I give a whole explanation to people, like, before I ghost them, right? Or I'll be like, there's 2 parts to the story. So let me go to the first part. So I decided, I did send a text message to said person, and I said, listen, ghosting, if I text somebody and I expect them to write back within, a certain amount of time, and I did say to him, I'm not sure why, if you reached out to me to rekindle something, to reconnect with me or whatever, I'm not sure why, that was, or why you did that, but if you're looking for friendship, if you're trying to reconnect with me to start to be friends with me again, then I did tell him, like, this is what I expect, and if you can't offer that, then I don't really want to reconnect with you. And I think that's okay, and I think that's what we need to do, because someone may ghost you, right? But if you're a high-value woman and you're a man, and you are mature, you're emotionally intelligent, you know how to communicate, I highly suggest, yeah, you can let things lie and go, they ghosted me, but if you want to be candid and transparent and forward, and you want to have healthy communication, even if they never write you back, because you have to be prepared. When people ghost you, that means that they're emotionally immature or psychosocially immature, and they don't know how to, or they're in a relationship and they lie and they're cheating and they don't know how to tell you that, or whatever the case may be. Again, like I said, don't take it personally, but it's okay to express how you feel and to say, hey, this is not really what I deserve, and if this is how you're going to treat me, then I'm going to keep you at arm's length, and I'm going to set boundaries. Or you can block them, whatever. But I think it's okay to say how you... to me, it's okay to express how you feel, because you don't want to be a doormat. You deserve respect. And this ghosting phenomenon, breadcrumbing, baiting, is really for a group of people who don't know how to communicate. And on the flip side of it, other people, I'm going to give the part 2 of the story, because I am actively trying to date and meet people or whatever. And I had a bunch of matches, right? And that's why I really take matches with a grain of salt, because they can literally write you and seem like they're interested, but they can be horrible conversation, they can be a bad communicator, it could be one-sided, narcissistic, whatever. So that's why I don't get my hopes up too much. But I just wanted to say that I decided to go ahead and I unmatched with certain individuals, and I gave I used to be someone where I gave a whole explanation, where I was like, hi, excuse me, like, you know, I did like you and I really want to get to know you, but I realized that sounds so mealy mouth, and it sounds so, I don't know, so like, not, I don't know, it's desperate, but it looks like you're trying to give like excuses and credence and looking for a reaction, right? Like, oh, so, for the first time, I didn't even give an explanation, I just deleted them. I didn't even, because I was like, and that's big for me, because usually I'm the type of person to say, you know, like I give an explanation before, and I usually would say, you know, before I match with you, I just want to say that I'm not really feeling the chemistry, or, you know, I don't feel like we're going to be compatible, or I feel like there's something that you're not telling me, and my gut and intuition is telling me to move on. Like, usually that's what I would say, because I didn't want to be a bitch, I didn't want to sound rude. But here's the thing. Online dating itself is very, what's the word? It's transient. Is that a good word? In and out, like come and go. It's very informal. It's not like you're going to a matchmaking event and you're sitting down with someone and you're speed dating or whatever. It's basically like, it's just very informal and very transient, because people come and go. There's nothing set in stone. So if you ever feel bad, like if you were on the other side of it, like like, how do I put it? Being someone who cares a lot about people, I'm kind of the person where, like, I cared about other people's feelings. I didn't want to hurt other people's feelings, because that was the people pleaser in me. But now I go, as an adult, I go, you don't owe anything to anybody. You know, especially in online dating. If someone is, first of all, if they're not making the effort towards you, or if you get a weird feeling about them, that they're not being genuine with you, you have every right to just, because in honesty, and on the flip side, it can go south, and they could turn into someone that's violent, engages in predatorial behavior, you know, starts a bad smear campaign. But you never know. Especially, let's say that, like, if they know people and they have friends of friends, yeah, that's why I treat it with a grain of salt. It's a great introduction to meet people, but just be mindful, because you want to do it safely and in a healthy way. But I actually, for the first time, I actually didn't give an explanation to people. I deleted them just like right away, and yeah, and I'm proud of myself for that, because before, 2 years ago, you wouldn't catch me. Like, I would literally give a whole like paragraph, like, to people who was a little bit of a conversation, and I would say, like, oh, I really enjoyed chatting with you the past 2 days, but I'm not really feeling the chemistry, or, you know, you're not really reciprocating consistency and communication with me. So I would cut them off, and that's it. Like, no explanation, whatever. Now I'm like, okay, you're not interested, or you're like giving me low investment in trying to talk to me, boop, gone. And I don't feel bad about it. It doesn't make you a bitch. It doesn't make you mean. It means that you have boundaries and you have standards, and that you respect yourself. Because it would be more disrespect, for instance, like with the situation with the guy that I told him, and I deleted our conversation. It was through WhatsApp, because he lives in another area than me. He doesn't live in Vermont. He lives in Canada. And so, allegedly, I don't know. All I know, he could be in the United States and have a whole different name, and, you know, have a wife, a life, whatever. But anyways, the person that he portrays himself to be, whoever that is, I went ahead and I explained how I felt, because I go, I'm not going to be disrespected, because ghosting someone is disrespectful. And it's interesting, because on the flip side, when I originally cut it off with that person, I had said, listen, I don't feel like you're being totally genuine with me, and I don't feel like, and I was embarrassed too, because of some things that transpired with him when I saw him the first time. I'm very good at speaking my boundaries, but when it comes to it and I'm in the heat of the moment, the boundaries go. Wah! So yeah, that's why I had originally cut it off. I had been the one to say it, and then he actually wrote back, and um, he said to me, what did he say? He said to me, um, like, I don't appreciate, like, I valued our connection, and I want to get to know you, and I don't appreciate you ignoring my messages. So then that's when I wrote him back when I was already on my way back from Canada to Vermont, and he said, what, like, he was, like, yeah, he said that, and I said, well, I'm already on my way back home, you know, I know this meeting didn't turn out to be what I thought it would be, and then that was it, and then it kind of just, you know, went south, which is okay. That's what happens. And I listen to my gut, I heed my intuition, but it became very like karmic in that sense, like back and forth, like very volatile, and that's not something you want. That's not healthy. If you feel like something's bringing you more tears and burdens than smiles and laughter, that's your indication that you know that it's really not good for you. And sometimes we need those lessons, I think. We need to experience those things because you need to go through it so you realize what you don't want, so you can prepare yourself for what you do want. But in terms of the ghosting, I guess, like I said, this would be a part two. I actually, like, don't feel like you're being a bitch. Here's the thing. If someone's giving you bare minimum effort, like if they're basically just, like, they're not, like, talking to you, like, because the thing is, let's be honest, everybody has their phone on them. Everybody. Even if it's on Do Not Disturb, everyone has their phone on them, and that's just, it's another part of our life. Like, that's our lifeline, basically. We have our banking, we have shopping on here, we have our news, entertainment, everything, right? So anyone that decides to purposely ignore you, or there's a lag in communication, be honest with yourself. My friend, that means that you are an option, and that means that you were benched, and that you are not someone that they are interested in getting to know. You have to take that and go, okay, and don't feel bad about it, because you deserve better. So, you know, and people are going to show you that. They're going to show you that they're not, you know, and that's okay, because, like I said, there's 7 billion people in the world, and, you know, unfortunately for me, and I take accountability to that. I moved to a very small area, so Vermont is it's very agricultural based. It's very rural, and if you don't have a car like me to get around, it's gonna be harder. So I literally have, maybe in terms of dating, there's like New York, New Hampshire, Canada, and in terms of Canada, it's a bittersweet, because there might be some really wonderful people over there who are attractive, interesting, engaging, intellectual, smart, but they're in another country, and I don't even know how that would turn out, you know. So it's bittersweet in that respect. And I didn't realize how close Canada was to me. Like, I had no clue. So yeah, if you're a single female or single male and you want to be around people and you want to have a good pool of people to choose from, don't go to a small town. I only came to a small town because I was trying to seek solidarity and peace and quiet and away from stuff that I went through back home, which I realized was everything that I went through in the past was like a whole sham. It was a prank. It was a joke. Bullies, right? Adult bullies. Yay. Yay me. So, yeah, but don't feel bad if you, like, if you're the one that gets ghosted, give yourself grace, but also if you did have somewhat of a good rapport with that person and they weren't a jerk or an asshole to you, male or female, you decide whether you want to say, like, hey, like, you know, like, this is not how I expect to be treated, and that's okay. That's okay to do that. You're not being a bitch. You're not being a Karen. And when I say Karen, I mean someone who's, like, really high maintenance and, like, annoying and all up in someone's business and nosy. I mean, if you're a normal, functioning, emotionally intelligent human being and you demand respect, don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to, like, speak up for what you want, you know. Yeah. And in my case, and I don't mind saying this, I'm not really big on using this word, because what you speak, you attract. because of stuff I went through in the past, I've kind of had basically been in a situation where, if you imagine like community mobbing, if that's an appropriate word, basically like where people start a smear campaign about you and talk shit about you that's not true. um, they get people to like lie to you, and they send in people to, you know, I wouldn't say harm you, but trick you, break your heart, stuff like that. That's the blanket term is gang stalking, but it's not really gang stalking. It's not like a gang. It's just like people ganging up on you, strangers and stuff. If you piss someone off and stuff like that, it leads to a domino effect and whatever. So my situation, so it's even more unique because I'm basically targeted in that sense. So dating is a little bit trickier. It's a little bit harder. Um, and yeah, so, but I really just want to come on here and talk more about that, and use your judgment. um, we're social creatures by habit. If we crave companionship, especially for women. If you're in your time of your month, be mindful, people, because if you're a woman and you're ovulating, be careful, because your hormones, your happy hormones, your sex hormones, will literally amplify, and you're gonna be like a I was gonna say it. I don't want to say it, but I was gonna. Can I spell it? C U. I don't. COCHOOI. No. There's. I'll mouth it. I don't want to say it like. But basically, your nether regions will basically be like, you know, wanting to, because that's just your body's way of wanting to procreate, right? When it's that time of the month, be very careful, because you will mistake lust for love. Trust me. Yeah. So, just wanted to say that. And, what else? Yeah, don't be afraid to speak up. And there was the thing, like I said, that the psychologist says that if someone, ghosts you, like if what is it, if they die, like let them stay dead or something like that. Hold on. I have so many notes in my notes app. It's crazy. As per modern day psychologists, if they ghost you, don't be bothered, just respect the dead. It's true. But you also, if you have self-respect and pride and you value yourself, it's okay, I think, to say, hey, I don't appreciate you treating me this way, and then and then that's it. You let it be, you let it lie. And if they come back with an excuse like, oh, I'm so sorry, I was so busy, or unless they have a really drastic reason, like, oh, I had someone passed in my family, or I'm really sad because, you know, I lost my job, or my child is sick, or whatever, you know, some really like truly like detrimental thing, that's understandable. But if they're like a regular human being and they're just going about their life and they just chose to just ignore you, then guess what? That is your sign. Let it be. Let it lie. Let it let it die. Let it lie, let it die. And that's okay, because you know, some relationships are some people come into your life for a reason, a season, a lifetime. And I learned that. I forgot where I learned that, but it's true. Some people are going to be for a season of your life. Like I literally, okay, great example. This is such a good example, I think. Unfortunately, the veterinarians that I had the diagnosis that they had, it turned out to be inconclusive, because it was, what she had was not actually, what they thought she had wasn't what she had. But, there was a guy I connected, I don't know if it was on Tinder or if it was on Bumble, because yes, I am on Tinder. You can judge me for that. I don't really care. Some people actually meet people on Tinder, you know. Some people don't, some people do. It's notorious for being a hookup app, but I go about it and I'm like, you know what? You never know. There might be another version of the male version of me who wants to have, you know, looking for something with somebody, and, you know, serendipitously I come across their profile and boom, you know. So, but anyways, a good example of this is that I matched with somebody, and that weekend, and we were going to go out on a date or whatever to like a local bar or a restaurant over here, or a pub or whatever, and I canceled it because my dog was pretty lethargic. She had a fever, She wasn't eating. She wasn't doing well. So that took precedence for me over like going out on a date. And that would have been horrible. And I was ready to go. I was like, I was dressed. I had my makeup on, did my hair. And then I told him, I was like, listen, I don't, like, I can't, whatever. He actually, and it's sad that it didn't like work out with him. We did end up hooking up after. But I was also in a very vulnerable position. I was scared about my dog, and sex felt good at the time, just to be honest. So, anyways, what it turned out to be is he actually drove me to the veterinary clinic. Like, I got in his car with my dog. Mind you, I had not met the guy. We talked or whatever. I think we talked on the phone, and we were going to go out on our first date. And he actually said, I'm so sorry to hear about your dog. And he took me to 30 minutes away to the emergency vet clinic. Now, mind you, I have a huge vet bill that I have to pay. But my point is that, and that's a good example, if they wanted to, they would. Now, where I messed up was I ended up sleeping with him, and I don't mind saying this. I slept with him after that. Like, he stayed with me, he took me back home, and I don't remember how it transpired, but he did come back, and I look back and I go, oh, did he do that because he wanted to get something out of me, to hook up with me, or did he genuinely care about me and my dog? He himself had a cat, and he said he lived with a roommate kind of in another city nearby here in Vermont, and but I took that. I was so appreciative, and I go, no one's ever done that for me. And it was kind of frustrating because I think I did give it up too easily, in a sense that, number one, I was vulnerable, and I do realize that I seek comfort and solidarity with physical touch and like being held. No one really prepares you for how lovely it feels to be cuddled by somebody. So I did do that with him, and plus we had good, the vibes were there, the chemistry was there. I thought he was really cute. He was decent. He actually held a conversation, and but the sad part was, and actually the sex was, I don't know, can I say this on YouTube? The intimacy was pretty decent, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed it. But after we did that, he kind of went ghost on me. Like, he texted me, I think the following day or 2 days after, like, hey, how's everything with your dog? And then it kind of just waned, and it, like, and I think I also suspected that maybe he was in a relationship with somebody and he was lying to me about that. And because people do, a lot of people these days are polyamorous, and it's frustrating for someone that practices monogamy, where you want to like develop something genuine with somebody. And so anyways, I don't think there was any ghosting in there. Kind of, a little bit. He kind of just disappeared after, we hooked up or whatever. And that's a lesson learned on my part. I've learned that you don't, unless that's what you're seeking. Now, if you're seeking strictly hookups and casual whatever, and it's mutual and you both agree, then boom, then whatever. That's that. But if you are somebody who is trying to make a genuine connection with somebody, don't sleep with someone on a first date. As exciting as it may be, as horny as you might be, don't do it, because you're going to sell yourself short. Because once you do it, unfortunately, we live in a world where, especially with men, when you give it up like that, it's like, oh, they got it, like they got what they wanted. So I strongly advise, and I'm, with therapy, I've gotten better at it. I've learned, talk to the person, and you'll actually end up gauging their intentions better if you actually do that. Like, you talk to them, even if you want a casual thing or friends with benefits, talk to them, and then you're gonna learn more about them from that conversation. And if they don't talk to you, guess what? They're lying to you, they're cheating on somebody, or they're keeping secrets from you, or they're benching you, meaning like they're gonna give you just as much attention as they need to keep you hooked and interested, which is not fair. It's not fair to anybody to do that. So I think I would say, don't do it. It's interesting, but like, that person, he did put forth the effort, and I wonder, oh, did he do that just to be able to do that, to get his way with me? I don't think so. And I feel, but this is, my point was, the reason why I'm saying this story about a reason, a season, or a lifetime. He came in, I think definitely that guy was there for a reason, because I was able to go down to Burlington because he offered a ride, and had I not matched with him, or like, I wouldn't have been able to get Bonnie the care that she needed, because she did feel somewhat better, I think, after a little bit. She did kind of deteriorate a little bit after that vet visit, to be honest, but after it, she seemed pretty chipper and in good spirits, and her energy was high. So, yeah. Um, and that just shows you it's an example of a reason, a season, a lifetime. Um, Other times there might be people you see companionship with because, they're there to comfort you or support you, and they're there for a season, right? And then a lifetime, if you're lucky enough, if you meet someone who you match with and you're like, you resonate with them, then you're very lucky, because some people, it's, especially now in this day and age where divorce is really prevalent, and I think people use polyamory honestly as an excuse to prevent divorce, because some people can't be with one person. They just can't. They can't be with one person for the rest of their life. They want to have sex with multiple people. They like the novelty. They like the intimacy, and that's them, and I'm not going to judge people for that. It's not my thing. And I think, to me, if you're in a relationship, you can keep things spicy, and it's also, the sex is just a factor of it. There's also other parts of it, So yeah, that's just me. And I will recommend, it is Spiritual Sunday, so I don't know if I should make it a look. Eesh, this has come out of my reading about about certain somebody. I don't know if maybe we'll make it a love reading. I don't know. I never really wanted to do love readings. And I don't know. Maybe I'll do a reading later. I like to do more uplifting, like, because relationship stuff can turn, especially readings. One thing I learned is that when you watch tarot readers and oracle card readers online, you're gonna become almost a little bit more obsessed, like, with the outcome and stuff, and that's not healthy. So letting go and letting things be, right, is more, I think, a better approach, because you can't control the outcome of things, and you don't want to be a control freak. So I'm debating on whether I'd want to do a love reading or not for people. But I will say that this is a really good deck to get. It's called Neon Love. If you ever want to uncover the secrets, and if you're like into spirituality and clairvoyance and whatever and all that stuff, bro, this stuff is like gold. it's basically like God's way of communicating with people and telling you, like, the truth, right? What I like to say is that energy doesn't lie. People do. So if you're ever iffy about somebody, like, and you're like, are they being honest with me? Shuffle your cards, and go within, meditate, and then, that's what I do. I ask, like, is this person meant for me? And then you do that. And, so yeah. And if card reading is not your thing, if you're like, oh my god, that's so witchcraft, that's like so, voodoo, it's not. It's really not. I think with anything in life, if you wish evil upon somebody, intention setting, all of that, it depends on the meaning behind what you're doing. So if I was sitting here, and I don't know, I'm not a witch, I don't know how to do spell work and stuff like that. So if anyone's like, do you know how to do love spells? No, I don't, and I don't plan to ever doing that. Because I don't believe in trying to manufacture love or manufacture amorous feelings or manipulating energy around you to get someone to like you. I think, and also the same thing with the psyche too. I don't think we should be doing that. I think we should be respecting people, and respecting where they're at, and that's just my opinion. That's just me. So, but yeah, this was part 2 of talking about ghosting, benching, zombieing, whatever. And your vibes don't lie. Energy doesn't lie. People do. And it may be hard to let someone go because you might have had really great chemistry or great sex or whatever. But in the long run, do yourself a favor. If you're being given the bare minimum by somebody, have respect enough for yourself to say, hey, this is not conducive to me, this is not healthy for me, and you're going to let it go, and you cut the cord. There are spiritual meditations for cord cutting. I do believe that, in my opinion, spiritually, when you link up with someone, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, you do have an etheric cord. You can't see it. So an etheric cord, meaning, and if you think of string theory, right, you literally have, that's why some people, you can be distant from them, but if you had some sort of connection with them, you can feel their energy because either they're thinking about you or they're trying to, God forbid, masturbating to you. You know, but you feel that because you haven't fully cut the cord. When you cut the cord, you relinquish their attachment to you. Because what happens is that in the spiritual community, what we believe is that people can energetically tie themselves to you, right? We believe in the chakras. So what some people do is, and this sounds kind of woo-woo, but they can literally cosmically bind themselves to your chakras and to you energetically, which in that case, that's not healthy. That's toxic, that's abusive, that's coercive, that's manipulative. Not good. You want people who are going to respect you and treat you well and value you. And if they don't value you, guess what? Someone else will. And value yourself, you know. And if you value yourself and you respect yourself, you're going to say, hey, this is not what I deserve. I don't deserve to be treated like this. And you let it be. You know, people need to elevate themselves to meet you where you're at. And if they can't, they're not for you. And if they call you stubborn, if they say you're hard to love, if they say, you know, oh, she's too much work. No, they're just too immature. They don't want to do the inner healing and the inner shadow work to be able to meet you where you're at, right? So never compromise. Don't what's like I'm trying, yeah, don't compromise. And if you're on the opposite end and you're like, F it, I'm gonna go sleep with as many people as I want, then you do you. Just use protection, be mindful, you know, have your arsenal of resources in terms of like, you know, try not to get pregnant because you don't want to be a baby mama to some stranger, right, that you don't really know, that you only talk to for like 3 days, because then guess what, you're going to be left with, you're going to need child support, you're going to need, yeah, and that son or daughter's going to grow up with no father. Or no mother, if you're a man and you're, you know, screwing around. So, you know, just, like I said, be mindful. So, I hope that helps. And this is a journey for me just as much as it is for anybody else. Mine is a little bit more of a unique circumstance because I am literally, as I speak, I still basically am going through a very, like, I don't want to talk about it in terms of targeting and stuff like that. But because of things I went through in the past with certain individuals and people, I do have a few people who don't really, hi Bibber, and Miss Bonnie Bailey's going to make an appearance, right? So, and also if someone doesn't like your dog, or if they shoo your dog away, don't date them. I've literally made the mistake of like keeping people around who basically got their foot and pushed my dog aside while we were watching a movie, or were like, get down, I'm like, and I let them, you know, stay friends with me, and I'm like, nope. So yeah, so again, I hope that helps somebody. I'm sorry my shirt is kind of like that. And anything else I want to share? Yeah, life is a journey. Give yourself grace. I say that a lot. And never settle for less than what you deserve. And communicate the F out of things. Like, please communicate, because if you don't, you're going to be left like heartbroken or miserable, because communication is key. And if someone can't communicate with you, be very mindful. If they can't communicate with you, they're either in a relationship with somebody already, and they can only meet you halfway because they're already invested in someone else, or they're just not genuinely interested in you, like in a romantic sense. So people, and here's the thing, people tell you who they are. They show you with their actions. So, you know, don't try to turn someone into someone they're not. Don't try to make something into something that it's not. Respect people where they're at. And can people change? Yes. I mentioned this yesterday. Can red flags turn green? Yes. But they have to be willing to do the work. They have to be willing to say, I want to transform myself. I want to change myself. And, you know, someone that really wants you to come along for the journey, like if they really do like you, they will stop at nothing. Little side note, and I'm going to try to make this at least 10 minutes more, and that's it, because I don't want to go overboard. Great story. There's a lady. I'm going to call her a lady. She was a former co-worker of mine. She was actually my preceptor. I did look up to her because she was like, I don't know, I just thought she was really cool. She had like this, and it's funny because she actually had this tattoo on her wrist. I actually, so this tattoo on my wrist. So when she was my preceptor, and I felt really like nerdy and dorky and whatnot. What are you doing? You want to jump up? 2 seconds. My dog wants to. My dog wants to jump up. Go see me. Come here, baby. Come on. No, come here. Do you want to come up on the? Come here. Come on, baby. Up. Good girl. You jumped up on the bed. Good girl. My dog wasn't able to jump up on the bed before because she was like feeling really sick, and now she's like, she jumped up on the bed. Right, the good girl. She's so brave. I'm sorry. I love my dog so much. Are you hungry? You want food? Are you hungry? Okay. So yes, so this person was my preceptor, and I looked up to her. I kind of like fangirled. She doesn't know this, but I did. So she had a tattoo on her wrist that was like this, and I always told myself if I got a tattoo, I'd want to get one the same. So I did, and I think I told her that after a few years later. And I never thought I'd be a tattoo person, but this is a really good story, and her story is kind of basically like my example of like, it reminds me to never settle, and it shows you that there are men out there that will go the distance, that if they like you, they will like pursue you, right? Like what are you doing? Are you licking your foot? They will, they will make the effort. And she met this guy, I'm not going to say her name out of respect for her, but she met this guy, from what I understand, I might have the story wrong, because it was a long time since she said how she met him. She met him, I think, and funny of all places, at a club in Miami. I think it was at Live, at the Fountain Blue, and he was with his friends, like, in town, just like, whatever, for his friend's buddy's birthday or something, and they went out, and in Miami, he lived in another part of Florida. They connected, they just talked, apparently, for the whole night, like, just at the club. And a club is a place you think, like, people are like, boom, boom, like, hookups, this, sex, drugs, blah, beep, boop, drinking, craziness, whatever. She said apparently they talked, like, the whole night. The following day, he texted her, messaged her, and, he's like, I really want to see you, whatever. And then, so, long story short, what are you doing? Silly. So long story short, he actually would see her, like, he would come down to Miami from, I don't know if he lived in Tampa or St. Augustine or West Palm. He lived basically 3 or 4 hours away from her. And he would go down to Miami to visit her on the weekends. 3 or 4 hour drive. Just to see her. They weren't boyfriend, girlfriend, they weren't exclusive, they were just dating. Like, they were just talking. They were together for like 9 or 10 years, I think, 8 or 9 years, before actually like getting engaged. And then she got married, I think, like maybe 10 or 11 years. Like, I remember, because she told me this, like, this is, and then, because I always kept in touch with her, because I did look up to her, and I appreciated her advice, and she was like one of the only few people that like, at the place that I worked at, it was very like, not, I don't want to say cliquey, but like, she was one of the only ones that at the hospital I worked at where she actually like respected me. Like, she didn't treat me like, she didn't make me feel like I was a nerd or a geek or like, I don't know. She didn't make me feel out of place. Like, she respected me, and and she had her friends there or whatever, but she always like made sure to make me feel included, which I appreciated. So, anyways, they're happily married now. I think last time I checked, it was on, I don't have Facebook anymore, but she had a daughter, and then I think she was pregnant with another child, and she's a leader now at, in the hospital she works at. So it's like, it was really cool. It's really wonderful to see people, and this is where okay, any other woman would be like, oh my god, I'm so jealous of her, she has like the perfect life. I'm so happy for her, because I was able to witness her growth from being like, not entry level, but starting off as like, intermediate hospital clinician, to, becoming a preceptor, to becoming a supervisor, to branching out and becoming a leader of, this place. And I'm just like, I'm so happy for her. Like, I'm not jealous of her, I don't envy her, and she's beautiful too. Like, this woman is like, she could be like a model. Like, her hair is always perfect, her makeup is on point, like, you know. So, yeah, so that's kind of like how I look at her, and I in terms of standards with dating, there are men who will put forth the effort. Like, they will be demonstrative, and they won't say like, oh, an hour, that's so whatever, I can't. This man drove 3 or 4 hours in a car down in Florida to see her. So there's no excuse. Like, if anyone's like gives you breadcrumbs, put it in the burner. Like, throw it in the oven or throw it out in the trash. Don't take the breadcrumbs and eat them and try to like, swish it around the olive oil, because you're just going to be munching on like a little mouse. Wait, my dog agrees. She agrees. Do you agree? Yes. So that's kind of how I see it. And if you disagree with me and you're like, no, but he's so cute, and no, if he's giving you the bare minimum, if he's, like I said yesterday, if he's treating you like an option, don't make him a priority. And communicate your boundaries, communicate how you feel, because you matter, and everyone matters, and everyone deserves to fall in love and meet the person of their, that they want. Like, if you want to, if you believe in, monogamy, you deserve to meet like the person that makes you weak in the knees, and I was gonna say the bee's knees, or I like to say make your heart sing. So yeah. Is my dog gonna do the thing? She likes to do this thing where she like scratches into the blanket. She's not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it? You would think that with how much I talk about Florida, you would think I'd move back there. I was contemplating it, but just some stuff went down there that was like icky, and I don't know. I really don't know how it would be if I went back there. But it is kind of where I grew up. It's my home. Maybe northern Florida. I don't know. I will say nothing beats the weather over there. Like, still, it's like literally let's see, it's 36 degrees and it's springtime. It's April 20th and it's 36 degrees, and it's gonna warm up next Tuesday, 73, low of 44. April in Vermont. Yeah. What do you think? So yeah, that's my advice to you people for today. Communicate. Speak up for what you want. Set your boundaries. Don't feel guilty about it. If you cut someone off on a dating app, remember, it's a dating app. There's so many people on there. There's fake profiles. There's real profiles. There's married men trying to pretend that they're not married. There's polyamorous men lying and pretending they're not polyamorous. There's gay men who are interested in exploring straight relationships or bisexual, whatever. There's so many people, because we're Earth is Earth, and there's people from all walks of life. So be very clear about what you want. Set those boundaries, and yeah. What do you think? So that's that. And anything else? Do I need to cut your hair on your? I don't know. What do you think? I love you. We say bye-bye. Bye-bye. She's not amused. What? What? Are you giving me kisses? Okay, thank you. Okay, that's it. So that's Bonnie says bye-bye. Bye-bye. I love you. So, yeah. Happy Sunday. I will do a spiritual Sunday reading. I just need to tend to myself and do other things first. I can't think of anything else I want to say. Yeah, ghosting, benching, zombieing, baiting, breadcrumbing. These terms are things that I didn't know existed, but we give labels to other people's behavior in dating. What is it? She's like, pet me. This is why I'm telling you my dog has allergies, because she does this all the time. Literally. This is what she does, and then she licks her paws, right? Yeah. No. That's not sanitary. That's not sanitary. Okay, I'm going to get going now. So, hope that helps somebody. Life is a journey. Give yourself grace. And, communicate. Communication is key. And if someone can't communicate with you, say bye-bye. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Adios. Beep, beep.